Ladies and gentlemen of the electorate, welcome to Democracy 4. Holy cow, things are shaping up. I'm Orbit Potato, I'm your glorious leader, and we're hopefully going to be saving the United Kingdom again in today's episode. Where are we in terms of actually doing the saving? Well, crime is on the decrease. In fact, I think crime is pretty much as low as it can go, and it has been for what, 2 or 3 turns now, which is really great. So we can certainly expect organized crime to be ending. Ghettos will end as soon as the street gangs modifier has disappeared, and it's actually slowly decreasing as well, which is really good. Obesity. Now, obesity is a little bit of a problem. It's actually fed by the price of food. So the higher the price of food, the lower obesity will go, theoretically. So that's what we gotta hope for. Respiratory disease is in a bad place at the moment because the environment is so poor because of GDP. If we have a little look, the environment has never been in a worse position, and that is because GDP is in such a great place at this moment in time. Hospital overcrowding. I mean, look, this is a simple fix, right? This is a very simple fix. All we need to do is just bump up how much we're spending on our state health service. That is totally fine. We did develop the water shortage situation last time, but that's actually okay. I think that we've got the Climate Change Adaptation Fund, which I think should be able to mitigate against that. So that's something to look forward to. Also, the uncompetitive economy is just sort of trundling on in the background, which we need to try and fix at some point. The gig economy is a straight positive and is actually something that we want to keep around. I do not think that it's a negative in any way. The fact that it's red is a little bit misleading because it's just good. It's just upside. Well, the car usage is a little bit of a pain in the backside, but to be honest, I can live with that. Yeah, cool. Things are looking good. Things are feeling fresh. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so we start this term. It's going to be 16 turns until the next election. We absolutely crushed it at the election. We have got a huge majority. We are currently getting, what, 25 political capital each and every turn, which is great. The one thing that I am a little bit apprehensive about, and I'm almost certain that it's going to develop, because I implemented the policy of quantitative easing and helicopter money. I'm almost certain that our inflation is gonna go kind of out of control. Quantitative easing has been pulled back. However, because it's got like this inertia effect, it's got an inertia effect of 8 turns. It's gonna take a little while before it caps out. So we've got that to look out for. Anyway, let's have a quick look at our briefing. See what the situation is. The water shortage is developed. Unemployment is down. GDP is up almost to the very max. Actually, education is also on the way up. That's looking good. We've got a decision to make about the housing expansion. House prices are rising far faster than earnings, mainly due to the shortage of supply. I will relax planning restrictions. Environmentalists don't like it. Capitalists do. GDP increases. Honestly, I could make any decision at this moment in time. Nothing is particularly worrying me, with perhaps the exception of Patriot's opinion of me. Although, to be fair, the membership of the Patriot group is going down slowly but surely. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, everything's in a good situation. The only thing that we're worried about is hyperinflation, but there's no notice of hyperinflation developing at this stage. It may very well develop in the future. So there we go. The cabinet is okay. Everyone seems to like me, so I'm pretty happy with that. Right, let's see what other policies we can introduce to try and counter our current problems. Honestly, doing something with regards to water is probably a good idea. State water company is maybe an option. University grants, honestly, university grants and/or technology colleges would both be pretty darn good. We're running a 12 billion surplus at this moment in time. We don't want to torpedo that surplus too much. But we'll do university grants, and we'll do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I have no idea how the generational wealth gap actually works, so we'll look to see how that works. Education is going to spike by about 25%, which is excellent. I think that's a fairly cost-effective way of increasing our education, which is really good. Now, the good thing about education is that it actually has a knock-on effect to the uncompetitive economy, because education feeds into productivity. So the more education, the more productivity, the less uncompetitive economy that we will hopefully have floating around. Anything else that we want to spend money on? I mean, technology grants. I do want to develop a technological advantage. It is really, really good if we can get that. I'll tell you what, that's not a bad idea. Technology grants. Unfortunately, it is going to cost me 5 billion at max. It's going to reduce unemployment though. Technology is going to increase dramatically. GDP is fine. Productivity, directly affecting productivity is really, really quite challenging. So the fact that we're able to do it on this occasion is great. Also, capitalists will flippin' love it, which is phenomenal. Okay, we should still be running a surplus, and to be honest, it should be a good surplus. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get our interest rate down to reasonable levels. Our GDP also may indeed max out. If it does max out, then that's a bit of a problem because there's nowhere that we can go. Look at that. Look at that. It just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. It is the story of the century. Okay, don't know why we've got a really small quarterly report. That's fine, I guess. That's fine. Torture, deportation. That's okay. We'll address that in just a second. Unemployment stubbornly high, education continuing to rise just a little bit, which is what we like to see. A surplus of 9 billion a turn. I mean, honestly, I feel like maybe we could do better. Is there any way that we can introduce a tax-focused policy that would perhaps just increase our income just by a little bit? A junk food tax, that'll barely do anything. Public tax returns, not a very popular policy. Punitive wealth tax, again, not a very popular policy. School tax credits, it would be good. It would be good. We could reduce state education if we wanted to introduce school tax credits, but I'm not particularly bothered about that. Health tax credits, no. Frequent flyer tax. A frequent flyer tax is popular. Let's go for it. Let's actually go for it. Okay. Wealthy people won't like it. It will decrease GDP by a little bit. However, it's also going to reduce air travel, which is pretty important, really, in terms of the environment. So air travel has increased dramatically, and that is because GDP is about as high as it has ever been. So that's putting a extra stress on CO2 emissions. CO2 emissions feed into the average temperature. The average temperature feeds into the food price and also the water shortage. I mean, how do we counter this water shortage? Plant-based diets are apparently affecting the water shortage. Can we muck around with the Food Standards Agency then? Is there any reason not to fund this to the absolute max? How does the Food Standards Agency increase the number of people that are interested in joining a plant-based diet? That doesn't really make any sense to me. To be honest, anything to do with eating is something that we really want to see if we can try and implement at this moment in time. Because we've got that obesity problem, and that is something that we need to address. The healthy eating campaign, again, probably not going to make a massive difference. But it does increase health by a little bit. It only costs about 100 million or so we'll introduce that. That's excellent. What else did I see? Health food subsidies. Yeah, I mean, that's only going to cost 250 million. Reduces the food price. Bit of a problem, but it does take obesity way down. Plant-based diets just seem to be popping off. I suspect that next turn or the turn after, we're going to see a very, very, very large increase in the number of people that are actually on a plant-based diet. Cycling campaign or bicycle subsidies? To be honest, I could do both. I could do both, and I should do all three. I should do bicycle subsidies, carpooling, and cycling, because I don't think that it's going to have any downside. Yeah, so bicycle subsidies straight up is just a health bonus, which is exactly what we're talking about. Again, health feeds into productivity, and so it's really, really, really important to make sure that that we do that. Charity tax relief. I tell you what, we should investigate charity tax relief, but I feel like I'm going to do that. I feel like I'm going to do that after we implement the carpooling and the cycling campaign. Okay, car usage down. And cycling campaign. Again, a straight bonus to health and a decrease to car usage, rail usage, bus usage, and obesity. So we're actually directly targeting obesity here, which is great because it needs to come down because it negatively affects health and it increases the amount that we're paying for healthcare. However, we're also targeting respiratory disease. indirectly, because the environment is going to be affected by all of the changes that we've made. Game hunting restrictions. I mean, what can I really do with game hunting restrictions? I don't really know why it's a policy, but that's fine, I guess. Okay, torture deportation. Let's keep him here, actually. Let's keep him here. Patriots hate it, liberals love it. I should have probably considered doing the opposite of that, because the true patriots are the most worrying extremist group that we've faced thus far. Okay, let's go to the next turn. Let's see what we've got. Okay, this is bad. This is a bad turn for us. I say it's a bad turn for us. It's a relatively bad turn for us. You've got to remember that we're in a pretty decent position at this moment in time. GDP continues to increase, which has got its own problems. You know, we're seeing a lot of those problems arise. A lot of the environmental problems anyway, because GDP is doing so well. Health is coming down because of the negative pollution modifier, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Unemployment is down, though, which is good, and education is also continuing to increase and to accelerate, which is great. University grants has got a 16-turn inertia period, and it's got a 2-turn implementation delay, so it's going to be a while before that gets up and running. Pollution. What is pollution doing, and why is it a thing? The reason that it is a thing is because the environment is so bad and GDP is also really, really good. So the environment is in a absolutely dreadful state entirely because of GDP. Literally entirely because of GDP. So now we need to start making some difficult decisions that end up limiting our GDP in order to increase our environment. A garbage scam. Tons of garbage shipped abroad for recycling has been returned. The containers full of unwanted waste from our society was falsely labeled as recyclable plastics. Environmentalists are outraged by the fundamental failure of our country's recycling program. This national embarrassment has made headlines around the world. Okay, fine. We are at risk of seeing a doctor's strike develop at some point. I'm a little bit worried about that. If that does indeed end up happening, we could be in a little bit of a dodgy position. I mean, look, people love us, though. Subsidy Sam. If you want to do something, if you want to get something done, you subsidize it. That seems to be our new national anthem. Perhaps we should subsidize Anthem 2. Have we tried subsidizing the writing of achievement descriptions? Might be an idea. Indeed, it very well might be. However, it's working. Is it not? It's working, is it not? Okay, our interest rate is still irritatingly high. I mean, this was triple B over here, and now we're just at B. I mean, how much am I spending on debt interest? 26 billion. See, this is exactly why. This is exactly why I'm not gonna tweak. I'm not gonna tweak my strategy at this moment in time. We're still trying to pay off some of this debt, because if we can get our debt to GDP ratio down, then we are going to be offered a better interest rate, and then, you know, we sort of spiral from there. We spiral, of course, in a positive direction, though, as opposed to a negative direction. Okay, so we don't really have any issues. The only thing that I think we might want to consider is this state water company, because that will straight up solve our water shortage. But I'm not super bothered about the fact that the food price is fluctuating. We've introduced health food subsidies, and that is hopefully going to bring the price of food down a little bit to counter the increase. How are we doing at obesity? We're taking it down slowly but surely. We're getting there. Respiratory disease presumably is still very, very high. Yeah, the environment is just in such a bad place. We need to do so much more. We need to do so much more to try and offset the negative modifier of GDP. Organic farming subsidy, will that actually affect the environment? Rural development grants, I think will change the environment. Nope, it doesn't do the environment at all. Although it does a huge amount. It does a huge amount for unemployment. This might be one of the strongest policies that we've got. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I don't really want to fund it, to be honest, if it doesn't affect the environment. Anything that affects the environment, I will consider. The plastic bag tax and charity tax relief. Well, let's get charity tax relief because it is like the most popular thing that we've got here. Also, it's only going to cost us 46 billion to subsidize. The reason that I suspect that that's the case is because membership of the wealthy group is super duper duper low. Charity is a brand new mechanic, I believe, and so I kind of want to see how this works out. I wonder what it's actually gonna end up increasing. Like, I wonder how big an effect it's going to have on education, foreign relations, health, and poverty. Like, it might very well be a strategy to try and increase charity to a decently high level. Just thinking outside the box here, you know, we have to be open to the idea. All right, what do we got? Health is up. Health is in a slightly better place than it was last time, but we've still got that pollution cloud hanging over us with no sign of it ending. Unemployment is falling. Albeit, I don't think it's because of that policy that I just introduced, the rural development grants thing. A whistleblower? Do we want to prosecute the whistleblower, or do we want to reform the Secret Service? I'm gonna prosecute them again. Yeah, this is exactly why, because I wanted to make sure that the Patriots got a little something out of my premiership. The Liberals have been getting it for too long, so we can sort that out. Okay, global economy is recovering, and that's primarily where the growth in our GDP is coming from. We got a surplus of 20 billion. Let's try and maintain that surplus, or as much as we possibly can, as close as we possibly can to that 20 billion level. Again, each and every time that we've got a surplus, our GDP is coming down, and that's great. Okay, the water shortage looks like it's sort of capped. The environment is still decreasing. How is this even possible? How is this even possible? How can the environment be this bad? Carbon capture and storage. That would almost certainly help the environment. It does cost like 5 billion though. Have we got anything else down here that would sort things out? Mandatory microgeneration. Do CO2 emissions actually matter? I mean, I know that they matter. I'm just saying, do they matter? Do they matter in this context? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do, because they affect average temperatures, and average temperatures affects the water shortage. To be honest, the average temperature is not a bad place. Not yet. CO2 emissions don't directly affect the environment, but the environment... No, the environment doesn't actually affect CO2. Also, traffic congestion. Traffic congestion has reached new highs, presumably because car usage, is being pushed up by GDP a lot, even though we introduced all of these campaigns to try and get people weaned off cars. That was kind of the plan there. I mean, anything else that could affect the environment in a positive way. I mean, maybe something to do with hybrid cars, public services, anything environmental, really, I'll be willing to consider. The state water company, it's getting to that point where I think that we need to pull the plunge on it, to be honest. Fuel efficiency standards. There's one of these which is pretty awful, actually. Clean fuel subsidy, car emission limits. One of these policies is dreadful. I can't remember which one it is though. Subsidized school buses, state rail company. You know what? Let's go for fuel efficiency standards. Let's give that a shot. Increases car usage, but it decreases CO2 emissions. All right, you win some, you lose some, I suppose, don't you? Okay, I think that, honestly, we are going to find our redemption in transport. So let's just see if we can try and implement as many policies. Oh, look at that. A 23% increase to the environment because of car emission limits. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. CO2 emissions down as well. Car usage down as well. The electric car transition is going to happen. What does that actually mean for us? What does that actually mean for us? So the more electric cars we have, the fewer CO2 emissions we have, and also oil demand as well is going to decrease. Technology is hopefully going to increase to the point where we're going to develop a technological advantage. That would be excellent if that was possible. National Armed Forces Week. Let's go for it. Sure. Let's do it at the very lowest levels so that we don't end up increasing the membership of the Patriot group, because the Patriot voting group is one of the groups that hates me the most, and therefore I would rather not increase their membership. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, literally. Okay, so far so good. We've introduced like a huge number of policies. City farms. I can't really remember if city farms is a good policy or a bad policy. Let's go for it. Yeah, it's a bad policy. Doesn't actually do anything. Doesn't actually do anything for us apart from increased farmer opinion and farmer membership. I don't care about farmer membership. I don't think farmers love me, do they? No, they don't love me, but they don't hate me either. Also, the membership is pretty consistent, actually. Pretty consistent. So, there you go. Okay, so far so good. I'm hoping beyond hope that we'll see a little bit of an interest rate reduction here. An interest rate reduction would be huge for us. It's instantly going to free up like an additional 10 billion. It's a lot. Oh, no. Okay, this is bad. First of all, environmental protests. The environment is in such a poor situation that the people have started protesting. Look, this is not happening because I'm not trying to fix the environment. I am throwing everything at this problem. I am really trying. Okay, GDP has decreased by a little bit. To be honest, maybe a good thing. Maybe we do want GDP to be a little bit lower than it currently is. But that's fine. Health is on the up and up. Education is on the up and up too, so that is pretty darn great. No sign of a situation developing. GDP is just about maxed out here. No brand new interest rate, which is deeply frustrating. The additional income that we're getting each and every turn is mostly due to an increase in GDP. Also, the fact that we're able to pay down a little bit of our debt. Debt interest is still super duper high. And I'm not happy about it. Not happy about it one little bit, but that's okay. We're just gonna have to endure that. Pollution, oh man, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best to get rid of pollution. The environment just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. What can I do? What can I do? Is it time that we take bold action? Green Electronics Initiative, smart meter program. Congestion charging. New car subsidies. This is the bad one. I'm pretty sure this is the bad one. Clean fuel subsidy, congestion charging, bus subsidies, biofuel subsidies. I'm almost certain that biofuel subsidies is a good policy as well, but I don't want to deal with that. What about we start cloning humans? That seems like a good solution to every problem, right? JK. Okay, Green Electronics Initiative. Let's give this a shot. Pollution is going to decrease. Excellent. Energy efficiency is on the up and up. And I think that has a knock-on effect to CO2 emissions. To be honest, CO2 emissions aren't the problem. Like, CO2 emissions are not the problem. CO2 emissions upset environmentalists. What seems to be the problem is the actual environment. The fact that CO2 emissions in the environment aren't actually linked is somewhat of a surprise to me, to be honest, but that's fine. Okay, people smuggling. A large number of people have been caught entering our country, hidden inside cargo containers. I'm going to deport them, mostly because, again, I'm a little bit worried that patriots are not a huge fan of me. Liberals still love me, so that's something that we can tolerate, at least for now. I mean, look, everything is in the green. Everything is in the green with the exception of unemployment, which is hopefully going to continue to get a little bit better. We need to hold to this line, though. We need to hold to this line. This surplus is good. Oh, okay. There's a lot to see in this quarterly report. Let's go over it one by one. First of all, GDP, I think that we've maxed out. Yeah, we've definitely maxed out our GDP. That is a bit of a bummer, to be honest. That is a bit of a bummer. And we should now think about taking our foot off the gas a little bit and see if we can try and reduce some policies that perhaps impact the environment. Health is continuing to recover from that little downward spike when the pollution occurred. Education, I would suspect that we're going to max out next couple of turns anyway. Unemployment did increase, but yeah, just marginally. Poverty is continuing to decrease at a substantial rate, I would say, but not substantial enough to warrant the inclusion of a marker here, but that's fine. Illegal immigration outcry. Conservatives dislike it. I'm fine with that, actually. That's okay. Gridlock. Okay. Traffic congestion has got so bad that we've ended up getting gridlock. Now, this is almost entirely caused by the environmental protests, I believe, because the environmental protests feed into traffic congestion. Even enough to sort of tip us over the edge here. Yeah, as you can see, that was enough to just tip us over the edge. There are a couple of ways. There are a couple of ways that we can sort out traffic congestion. First of all, decreasing car usage. That is tough. That is tough to do because car usage is impacted by GDP. The other thing that we can do to reduce traffic congestion is by building some more roads. Now, building more roads, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's a double-edged sword. We end up upsetting environmentalists by quite a lot, actually. We end up boosting car usage, but we end up torpedoing congestion. Honestly, I think that at the moment, we just stick to our guns, and maybe we see if we can even reduce. You know what? I'm going to reduce it by a little bit. I'm going to reduce it by 10%. Let's go for it. We're only going to save like $500 million there, but I think that that's going to... I mean, it's obviously going to add up over time. Let's go for that. So what are we going to end up doing? We're going to end up upsetting motorists a little bit. Don't care. Motorists can't form a deadly pressure group. Environmentalists actually will like me a little bit more. Car usage will decrease by 3%, but traffic congestion will increase by 3%. Unemployment will also go up a little bit. It only cost me 6 political capital, but I think that's the right play. We've got a demand from a donor. What do we got? He's insisting on free eye tests. Donor will abandon you. He's a pretty generous dude, so that's great. The doctor strike situation is imminent, still floating around. The credit rate getting upgraded is just so unbelievably good. Business confidence seems to be very, very high. I'm pretty happy with that. We've still got the 2 credit rating upgraded modifiers that are taking effect. Can't forget about my donor. But look at that, a £30 billion a year surplus. That is fantastic. Okay, so our debt to GDP ratio is at the moment 72.56%. Have we returned? We've not returned to BBB credit rating quite yet. We're almost there. However, debt interest has reduced by about 10 billion. Remember how I said that improving our credit rating by just a little bit would free up like 10 billion? Turns out that was not an exaggeration. That really was not an exaggeration. That's a true reflection of exactly where we are. Okay, so solving the environmental protests is just not going to happen until we can improve the environment, and we are going to need to throw absolutely everything at making sure that the environment is in a good state. If it's not, then we're going to be in a problematic situation, I should say. Free eye tests. Let's implement this dude's policy. Sure, implement policy as requested. I mean, look, we can fund it to the absolute minimum. Poverty is going down anyway. There's no reason to fund it. There's no reason to fund it more than the minimum, right? It's going to cost us 70 million a year. That's a bargain. Or 70 million a quarter. Still feels like a bargain. Right. Car emission limits is wrecking their once thriving business. Gary may have to close his 25-year-old business after government policy has made the cars he sells virtually worthless. Another vote lost for the Potato Party. Tune in for a special report. Well, to be honest, Gary, I can do without your votes. Oof. That's a downward trend if ever I saw one. Look at this pollution. Look at this pollution. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. This big spike, by the way, I think was when we introduced quantitative easing and helicopter money. I'm pretty sure we introduced quantitative easing and our GDP just increased by like 20%. It's kind of crazy how that worked, but it did. What am I looking for? I'm looking for inflation. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually very, very surprised that hyperinflation hasn't come into effect yet. Like, that is kind of crazy, to be honest. I feel like that's a little bit of a broken policy. I mean, quantitative easing, for goodness sake, extra 10% to our GDP. And it's free, right? It's free money. It's literally free money. It's literally free money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the whole point of quantitative easing is that it's not actually free money. However, it feels like free money. And yet, I'm pretty sure it's just free money for us, which is great. Okay, I need to get back to my core focus, and that is trying to implement policies. Trying to implement any policies that I think would positively affect the environment. Plastic bag tax? Sure, let's go for it. Okay, that doesn't actually do anything. It just changes people's opinion. I don't think there's any other cheap policies that we can really introduce. The smart meter program, let's see if we can do that. Okay, energy efficiency. Does energy efficiency feed into the environment? I don't know. I tell you what, I do like this. I do like this so far. There's a lot of additional red modifiers which have been added that have all seemed to cascade from the fact that the environment is in a very, very poor position. Ghetto's almost at an end, though. Organized crime also almost at an end. We maybe want to see if we can introduce a couple of law and order policies to try and get that fully under control. Hey, look at that. A technological advantage has occurred, which is excellent. Very, very happy with that. It's mostly because technology is in such a good place. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty good rating, actually. Okay, so the technological advantage feeds into GDP. GDP is in a great place, to be honest. We don't even need to worry about it. The effect that the technological advantage will have on GDP will only increase from here. So, as the rest of our GDP is toned down because we're going to scale back some policies that hurt the environment. Hopefully, technological advantage will continue to grow and continue to make up the difference, really, in GDP. Productivity has also shot right up, which I think is in a really good, which I think is really, really good, actually, because it means that we can hopefully clear this unproductive, uncompetitive economy nonsense. Even though we've proven to be the most competitive economy, we have the best economy in the entire world, or the entire game. Ban single-use plastic. Let's go for it. Environmentalists like it, liberals and capitalists don't. That's fine. I think I can just about cope with that. Food crisis is going to occur because the price of food is in a monstrously bad situation. However, obesity is on the way down. Seems like we can't have nice things. We either have to have obesity or we have to have a food crisis. Unfortunately, I don't know what's better. I don't know what I'd rather have. Right, respiratory disease. Flippin' heck. Okay, tobacco usage is continuing to go down because of the tobacco awareness campaign. Thankfully, GDP is still unbelievably, shockingly, irritatingly high. Our debt is now only 1.7 trillion. If we can notch 70%, if we can notch the 70% debt to GDP ratio, then that would be great. That would be really, really good, I think. Right, let's see. Again. We're focusing our mind. Exactly on the environment. Also, law and order. I did say that maybe law and order is something that we want to do in order to just crack that organized crime nut, so to speak. Anti-corruption agency. Yeah, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Okay, so corruption is going to be decreased dramatically. I don't think that corruption is actually high. No, it's not. And it doesn't actually make any difference at all. It doesn't actually make any difference at all to anything. So, okay, bit of a wasted policy there, but that's fine. Again, focus on the environment. Maybe we gotta look to transport. Maybe we gotta look to introducing a really, really, really radical policy. I feel like an electric car initiative would be good. Closing airports completely is a real shock to the system. I think we just wait until the next turn and then we introduce the electric car initiative. It is going to cost me 3 billion, but I think that is a cost that we're going to have to bear. As again, we're looking for those policies that can, much like the negative modifiers have, cascade outwards. And I think the electric car transition might just be the way that we get in here. Traffic congestion. What am I looking for? I'm looking for electric car. This is the one. Yeah, so I think the electric car transition might just be what we're after, because that affects CO2 emissions and oil demand. Oil demand is affecting the oil price, and that also makes a bit of a difference. But it also affects CO2 emissions, and that affects average temperature, etc., etc., etc. So if we're able to get CO2 emissions down, then that puts us in a slightly better place as well. Can we decrease the average temperature? Is that possible? Is it possible to actually decrease the average temperature on this planet? I don't know. Okay, health is on the up and up. That is great to see. Education is continuing to rise. Brilliant. Poverty continuing to fall. Brilliant. Crime is nowhere. It's nowhere at all. Unemployment stubbornly high. Stubbornly high. Unfortunately. There is a merger. A large internet company has announced plans to buy out one of its main competitors. This merger needs government approval, but if it goes ahead, it will create one of the biggest companies in the industry. I'm going to allow it. We'll see what happens. Not tweaked unemployment. Okay, that was a bit of a waste of time. GDP didn't increase at all, but capitalists enjoyed it, so that's fine. Right, what do we got? A surplus of 30 billion. Again, we've notched 70%, so we're under 70% the debt to GDP ratio. So that's us in a good situation. Unfortunately, no credit rating increase on this turn. Water shortage, pollution, everything is still a big old problem here. Environmental protests, that's not even showing any sign of ending anytime soon. Respiratory disease, nope. Hospital overcrowding, nope. And obesity. Obesity is actually going to decrease. It didn't look like the food crisis developed, which is a bit funny because I thought that it was going to develop, and I was kind of expecting that to be the case, but that's okay. Let's go fully into electric cars. Let's see exactly what is going to happen here. Okay, that's brilliant. It boosts the environment by a significant amount, as well as having all of those knock-on effects that I ended up talking about. Does cost us 3 billion, but truth be told, that's a price that I'm perfectly willing to pay. Clean fuel subsidy. You know what? Let's go for it. Clean fuel subsidy affects the environment again, which is very, very important. Only costs $500 million. And that is us. Social Justice Foundation or the Youth Politics Council. Yeah, very, 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 very meh about this. Look, I mean, if our goal is to pay down debt, then I don't think that we want policies that are extra to that cause. You know, we want to have a pretty direct, pretty focused mandate. Uncompetitive economy, is that below the stop trigger? That's excellent. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter anymore because our GDP is in such a great position that we're fine. Productivity spiked massively. It's a shame that it took us to get a technological advantage before we were able to get rid of the uncompetitive economy modifier. Like, if we have a technological advantage, it doesn't really make sense that we can have the uncompetitive economy modifier, right? Like, surely we would be so competitive that it hurts. All right, what do we got here? Health is increasing, great. Weirdly, even though the health of the nation is increasing, it doesn't seem like we're solving the hospital overcrowding problem. So I don't know how these people are getting healthier. I don't know how we're treating them. Maybe with some witchcraft or something. I don't know. Uncompetitive economy's ended, which is great. The environmental conservation aid. Oh, thank goodness. Patriots hate it. Don't know why, but the environment loves it. Whatever the heck we're doing here. Brilliant. An international organization has committed a large amount of aid to help with environmental conservation in our country. Excellent. That's really, really good. Still no sign of a credit rating upgrade. That's really, really strange. Like, I feel like we should be getting one very, very soon. Our debt has decreased by what, like 10% since the start of the game, since the peak of 1.84 trillion pounds. Either way, I'm loath to adjust my expenditure upwards until we can get that better debt rating. The problem is that our GDP cannot increase any higher, and so the only way that we can change this ratio is by paying down our debt. The only way that we're able to pay down our debt is by, you know, getting either getting more money or spending less money, which is very, very weird. But yeah, the debt to GDP ratio is basically broken at this point, right? It's basically broken. New car subsidies? No. New car subsidies is the bad thing. Toll roads, I think maybe we want to get toll roads, to be honest. Ban low miles per gallon car. Ban low fuel efficiency cars. Yeah, do I value that over toll roads? I mean, toll roads are going to upset They're gonna upset motorists. Motorists flippin' hate me, but that's fine. Let's introduce toll roads. Let's see what the heck's gonna happen here. Okay, toll roads, a vastly complex policy. Commuters like it. Motorists don't like it. Capitalists love it. Car usage decreases. Traffic congestion is obliterated. Equality is decreased? Right. Well, you know what? That's fine with me, to be honest. That is absolutely fine with me. I'm going to fully fund this policy because that's brilliant. And it's cheap as chips as well, which is fantastic. Because if it's cheap as chips, then that's what we want. Okay, gridlock should get sorted next turn. We've introduced the toll roads, and that should make a big old difference. Organized crime... How the heck do we get rid of this? Do we just have to bump up narcotics? Is that literally what we have to do? Is there anything else that we can do to solve the organized crime problem? I just don't know. Ghetto's continuing to prove as is really, really difficult to get rid of. Racial tension. We could do with lowering this. We could do with lowering this a lot, actually. Immigration is very, very high because GDP is very, very high at this moment in time. Can we perhaps try and decrease our immigration through more border controls? The problem with doing that is that it impacts tourism and also ethnic minority opinion, which is not in a great place, but is also not in a terrible place. We've got to think very, very carefully about adjusting immigration. Okay, look at that. Look at that. We have gone from a uncompetitive, untechnologically advantaged country to a country that now has high productivity and a technological advantage. That's incredible. Again, doesn't really make any difference whatsoever at all. It's not a problem. Multinational tax evasion. There is a chance that develops. I mean, look, if that ends up happening, then that ends up happening, but it seems that we're at least a couple of turns away from the start trigger actually triggering there, so that's fine. Health, huge spike up with health there. That's brilliant. So if that health modifier has spiked, where does that leave us in terms of respiratory disease? Not great. Hospital overcrowding, again, still can't deal with this. Is hospital overcrowding really that big of a deal? Parents hate it, retired people hate it, but I mean, that doesn't really affect me at all. Healthcare demand is unfortunately high. We could also solve healthcare demand by solving immigration. I say solving immigration, I mean reducing immigration. I don't like this. I don't like doing this. I don't want to do this. It's going to upset liberals a lot, but it is going to really take down immigration, which I think is very, very important to try and get rid of some of these negative modifiers that we've got. Yeah. Racial tension as well. We need to see if we can try and introduce a couple of policies to reduce that. It's in public services, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. We can try and introduce a couple of specific targeted policies next turn. Okay, a 27 billion surplus. That is going to reduce ever so slightly, but it's fine. Airport expansion. Planning permission has been requested for the expansion of some of our country's largest airports. There's simply not enough capacity. I think we're going to reject plans. That ends up hurting tourism. That is a bit of a bummer. Environmentalists like it, but to be honest, I maybe should have considered differently, as environmentalists already flippin' love me. Right, what do we got? GDP maxed out. Health basically maxed out. It'll probably be maxed out next turn or the turn after. Education, well on the way to being maxed out. Unemployment, stubbornly high, unfortunately. Crime, at its lowest level ever. Poverty, almost completely gone as well. Ban livestock imports. I'm gonna reject the ban. Farmers dislike it, but that's fine. Don't even worry about it. Multicultural warriors. Okay, that's a problem. That is a problem. So ethnic minorities, not a big fan of me because I absolutely torpedoed immigration through the border control mechanic right there. Has that had any impact? Not really. Racial tension did decrease interestingly. Okay, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do in terms of specifically decreasing racial tension. That's what I'm after. Okay, anything here. Stamp out racism week. Yeah, that's definitely one that we can get. Is that it? No, that's literally it, apparently. Is there nothing else? Is there nothing else? I'm almost certain that there is something else. Compulsory foreign language classes and compulsory food labeling. Compulsory foreign language classes does a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so international trade will increase by a lot. Foreign relations increases. Racial tension decreases by a very, very slight amount, I would hasten to add. Education increases by 10%. Really? Foreign investment, 10%. Tourism, 10%. Youth. Patriots hate it, but everyone else loves it, apparently. It's weird. It's weird. Patriots hate the weirdest things. Eco-home regulations, carbon capture and storage. Let's go eco-homes. Let's go eco-homes, see what we can do. Doesn't affect the environment directly. But it does affect energy efficiency, and I think energy efficiency is gonna be kind of key going forward. Let me see if I can find that policy. Where did I put it? I don't even know where the policy flipping went. It's just disappeared into the ether somewhere. This one, isn't it? Nope. Not that one. Energy efficiency might be easier to find, though. Energy industry. Wait, the energy industry isn't affected by energy efficiency? Is that a joke? Energy efficiency. So energy efficiency and the energy industry are completely independent. Right. Not entirely sure why that's the case. Either way, energy efficiency is looking good, actually. Looking very, very good. So we've got super energy efficiency, and that affects CO2 emissions, oil demand. CO2 emissions probably going to be coming down. Yeah. Okay, so here's the weird thing, is that what is making the environment bad? What is making the environment bad? Because we've got a whole bunch of, like, negative environmental modifiers, but CO2 emissions are in a great place. They're in a great place, and they're going to continue to be in a great place. They're only going to get better. They're only going to get better as we introduce more and more and more focused, like, environment policies. Ah, okay. Flash crash, minus 15% GDP. Wow. Wow. Okay, so that flash crash, look at that. That flash crash didn't actually impact our GDP at all. Unless it'll happen next turn. I doubt it will, but that's crazy. Okay, cyberbullying. Is there anything that we can do to tackle cyberbullying? Reduce the internet speed. That's what we'll do. We'll reduce the internet speed. Those cyberbullies ain't going to be able to send as many messages per minute if we reduce the internet speed. It's literally that simple. Who'da thunk it? Who'da thunk it? That's what we need to do. I mean, look. Law and order, maybe something to do with the internet. I don't think that there is any way that we can introduce any sort of internet focused policy here. Yeah, state water company, is that still one of the only ways that we can sort this water crisis out? But the water crisis really doesn't stand for much. It's not a big deal. Compulsory food labeling. Let's go for compulsory food labeling. GDP is going to take a little bit of a hit. Plant-based diets and obesity. Okay, that's actually a really good policy for us. It's actually a really good policy. Not entirely sure why all of these policies affect plant-based diets. But you know what? That's fine. Okay, pollution. Pollution actually looks remarkably under control now. Remarkably under control. Green Electronics Initiative, that's fine. Car usage. How are we doing car usage-wise? Car usage is affected by electric car initiative cost, clean fuel subsidy cost. Do electric cars factor into car usage? I don't think they do. Like, I literally do not think they do. But how would that be communicated? Because the policy is electric fuel transition. Right, so the electric fuel transition is... Which one is it? It's this one. So the electric car transition doesn't actually affect car usage. And that, I guess, kind of makes sense because the electric car transition isn't made to represent the cars specifically. It's made to represent the transition. It's just funny, right? I mean, look, we've got like 70%. Okay, this either means that we've got like 70%, we're 70% of the way to transitioning to an electric car transition, or it means that 70% of the cars on the road are electric already. Assuming that that is the case, you know what, let's go for a conservative estimate. Let's assume that this is the baseline, and then this is the increase that has happened since the start of the game, which is probably fairly true. So let's assume that we are 50% of the way through an electric car transition. Let's assume in a worst case scenario, that means that there's 25% of the cars that are on the road that are electric. That is not reflected in the car usage graph, because we could have 100% of the cars on the road that are electric, and that will still increase, presumably, CO2 emissions, right? And it'll still have this massive negative effect on the environment. That's a bit of a problem. I feel like that is not great. We got a 27 billion surplus, so that's pretty good. Welfare fraud department is actually very popular, but singularly useless. Hybrid cars initiative, micro generation grants. Let's go for the hybrid cars initiative. Okay, so the electric car transition, again, not really sure that it makes a difference. Environment is going to be up, which is great. Oil demand. Okay, so this is just a great policy. It's a great policy, and it costs us hardly anything as well. So, I mean, look, sign me up on that front. National Business Council. I will actually go for National Business Council. Decreases socialism membership. Don't care. Totally fine. We can definitely deal with that. What do we got? Multinational tax evasion is continuing to rise. We should tweak our sales tax a little bit to account for that. Yeah. We should tweak our sales tax ever so slightly. How much would it cost to bring it down? 3? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's take it down to 29 billion. We'll have to find some way to leverage more tax, perhaps on the middle classes. But that's good for now. That's a solution for now. Still no increase. Still no increase to our interest rate. That is becoming a big old pain in the backside, to be honest. Well, we managed to reduce our debt by about 30 billion. No, not 30 billion. 300 billion, I should say. Because we're down to, what is it, 1.54. Corporate manslaughter bill, passed the law. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all to me. Okay, so everyone likes us. The most populous groups... Whoa, ethnic minorities are the most populous group? How did that happen? Immigration? Okay. Okay, this is strange. They also dislike me. A lot. The ethnic minority group dislikes me a lot. Now, this was actually addressed in one of the developer updates, I believe. But the fact of the matter is that some people were saying, how can you have a minority group that is 90% of the population? And I think the answer was, at least from the developer, that you can have multiple minority groups that in total form a majority group. But I think it was going to be changed anyway. Most people like me, to be honest. Most people like me. Most people in the ethnic minority group like me. The reason is that the vast majority of them also have another influence. So, for example, there are so this person has a 100% approval rating, which is excellent because of their opinions about me, mostly because their socialist and environmentalist opinions are positive. There are a couple of people who are dead set against me. Oh, the motorist. Oh no, trade unionist. A motorist trade unionist. Just about the worst type of person that we could possibly come across. Okay, we need to be worried about our security rating, as I don't know what else we can do to fix this problem. Ghettos, I'm really trying to fix the ghettos. Immigration is going to come down, and when that happens, that's going to make a big difference to the ghettos. I don't think that there's anything law and order wise that we can introduce that would make a difference. No, I don't think there is. We're running a $27 billion surplus at this moment in time. Government subsidies for unions, that would go down like a lead balloon, to be honest. Is there anything in law and order that would make any difference? No, I don't think so. Public services, anything that would improve racial tension in public services. Compulsory language lessons may very well make a little bit of a difference, but we're going to need to wait until the next turn in order to do that. Yeah, there's very few policies actually that can make a big difference. Right, we just got to hope that our threat level doesn't increase. Okay, unemployment is down. That's excellent. Appoint a UN ambassador. A patriot. Let's go for a patriot. Sure, foreign relations actually decreases. I think that's good because I think that feeds into immigration. There we go. Ghettos are starting to come down because immigration is starting to come down. To be honest, I feel like we need to torpedo our GDP a little bit. It feels kind of crazy that I actually want to reduce my GDP in order to get my country back on track. But quite honestly, that's the way that I feel like I'm going, to be honest. Yeah. Organized crime, it's just, I did say that I needed to just bump up. I did say that I needed to just bump up narcotics in order to wipe out organized crime. Yeah, but there's not much that we can really do there. Okay, let's have a little look at the environment, see how the environment's doing. Pollution looks like it's going to be hopefully solved next turn. The gig economy, not a big deal. Water shortage, solved in a couple of turns. Food price is... How has the food price managed to not explode here? That's kind of crazy. The environmental protests look like they're going to continue for at least a little while longer. Gridlock is still irritatingly high. We talked a little bit about car usage and whatnot, etc., and the problems with that. Respiratory disease is coming down, presumably because the environment is sort of being built back up. I mean, literally every policy that I've introduced in the last, 10 turns has at least had some environmental impact. Positively, I hope. Building a border wall. I mean, that just sounds like it would go down like a ton of bricks, to be honest. Racial tension. I need to fix racial tension. But the way that I fix racial tension is by decreasing immigration. Or decreasing unemployment, actually. But how can I get immigration down without absolutely torpedoing everything? Because at the end of the day, I don't really want to reduce immigration. Is there anything here? Capital controls. That's not really what I'm after. Trade union restrictions. Again, don't know why I would introduce that at this moment in time, but I could if I wanted to. Mansion tax, no. Empty homes tax, diverted profits tax, no. Nothing here, even though we've got the valuable stuff. A flat income tax, by the way, is a surefire way to make money. Like, if you turn the flat income tax on at, full for a couple of turns and then cancel the policy, you can immediately pay off a substantial amount of debt. It's very good. Very, very good indeed. State water company, yeah, no. I mean, look, there are language lessons which we can introduce. Ban foreign church service. No, don't think it's really going to make much of a difference. I don't think anything is going to make a difference to racial tension here. Law and order, nothing really. Is there anything that would reduce organized crime similarly? I don't think so. I mean, racial profiling is absolutely going to negatively affect racial tension. So I'm not going to introduce it. Yeah, nothing here. Close airports completely. Oh, hold up. This might do it. Okay. Let's freaking go. Okay, so this actually positively impacts the environment, negatively affects GDP, but that's okay. We talked about making, GDP hurting decisions. That's fine. Okay, foreign relations will decrease. International trade is going to decrease. Air travel is going to be eliminated. Is this the policy that we want to pursue? It's the policy that I feel we have to pursue. Because it's the only policy that is going to uniquely solve all of our problems all in one fell swoop. Is it gonna piss a lot of people off? Yes, it absolutely will. Air travel is gonna be decimated. It's gonna be decimated. The frequent flyer income tax, the frequent flyer tax that we're getting is 4 billion. That's gonna be 4 billion, by the way, wiped off our income. That kind of sucks. So we should probably just delete that frequent flyer tax. But then again, it won't make any difference. Okay, let's go to the next turn and see what this disastrously ambitious policy has accomplished. Okay, unemployment is down. Surprising, but fine. Garbage scam, not a big deal. Campaign speeches are available, which is fine. The economy is still doing well, which is great. It's on the downward trend though, which is fine. Our surplus has been shaken, but not stirred. How's air travel looking? Look at that. Jumped right off a cliff. Holy cow. That's really that's really quite something. This frequent flyer tax presumably is gonna still... Okay, so it's gonna adjust, I think. It's gonna adjust next turn. And next turn we're gonna not make any money. Unless it's broken and we will always be able to make money. I guess we'll wait until the next turn to see exactly what happens. Okay, water shortage is going to end next turn, which is great. The people love me. I am super duper 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 popular. If I could solve a couple of problems before the end of the my term, that would be brilliant. If I could solve organized crime, that would be excellent. If I could solve ghettos, that would be excellent. If I could solve the environmental protests, that would be excellent. Oh, I'm gonna solve the pollution problem. That's excellent. That's really, really good. Tourism, I would expect, will take a little bit of a hit. Yeah, as soon as the airports have been completely closed, tourism will take a bit of a hit, which leads directly into GDP, which is a problem, but that is totally fine. Okay, campaign speeches are available. Let's go for an election. Oh, actually... This is a problem. I completely forgot about this. I completely forgot that I made manifesto pledges. This could end up completely torpedoing my campaign if I don't sort this out. Okay, so jury trial. There we go. Get it past the mark there. Excellent. Cool. Good stuff. Good. Thank goodness I checked this, eh? Okay, jury trial is going to be fixed. Unemployment benefit. We can't, unfortunately, get up to that mark quite yet. What about creationism? Can't, unfortunately, get up to that mark quite yet either. That's okay. Okay, do that. Excellent. 9 political capital. We've got 5 political capital left. I think that next turn we'll have the amount of political capital that we need to do what we need to do and fulfill our pledge, to fill our promises and whatnot. Oh, look at this. It's a monstrously good turn. It's the best turn that I've ever had in this video game. Okay, unemployment is down, which is great. Because I think unemployment going down will actually decrease... It'll decrease racial tension, which has remained stubbornly high. Immigration, by the way. Oh, immigration is plummeting. That is good. That is good. Means that hopefully ghettos will start to fade away. Pollution has ended, which is good. The water shortage has ended, which means the price of food is going to come way down, which actually makes it more difficult to solve the obesity crisis, but that's fine. Credit rating has been upgraded, which is a nice little boost to capitalist opinion just before the election. Business confidence, I suspect, is also quite high. Yes, that also leads directly into GDP. Don't know why business confidence is affected by literally only 4 modifiers. I suspect that it's probably more than that in reality, but hey-ho. $23 billion surplus. Again, it should be way more. It would be way more if our GDP was completely uncapped. However, our expenditure on debt interest has decreased yet again. Very, very important that continues to happen. Very, very important that continues to happen. Also, the efficiency with which taxes are raised, it's increasing. So, you know, each and every time that increases by a point, we get a little bit more money collected through income tax, etc. So that's pretty nice. We're back to triple B rating, which we had at the very start of the playthrough. Environmental protests presumably will come to an end if the environment is in a decent place. The environment is in a very decent place, to be honest. The environment is in a very, very decent place. And look at that recovery as well. I don't want to say it was entirely caused by closing all of our airports, but I mean that was a pretty wild policy that did make the difference there. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It is what it is. Right, I need to fulfill my pledges. I need to fulfill my pledges, and I need to fulfill them urgently. Right. 16 political capital. What was the other one? Creationism versus evolution. Excellent. Right, that's a little bit of a bug there, but that's fine. Insufficient political capital. No. No. Am I gonna... Oh, no. Oh, no. I've got 1 turn remaining. I've got 1 turn remaining. Well, I'm gonna do the unemployment thing. The jury trial is also important. But I don't like to look like I'm not keeping my promises. Okay. Strong leader. Let's go for that. You know, let's not beat around the bush. Let's just go for the stuff that we know is going to make us popular. Anything that's got like a 75 or 80% chance of being successful, I'll take a chance on that. Very trustworthy, very, very trustworthy. My trustworthiness is about to be torpedoed, unfortunately, because I'm about to break a promise. I'm very sorry. I completely forgot that I made the promise. Right, obesity, yep, as we've seen, is just going to shoot right the way back up. We're probably never going to get rid of that obesity issue at this point. Thankfully, respiratory disease is decreasing as well. Hospital overcrowding. Again, not a big deal. Organized crime. Oh, we're so close to getting rid of organized crime. It really, really, really is very, very close. Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do in this election. It's gonna be brutal, to be honest. It's gonna be brutal. I think we might actually win by even more votes. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. 98% of the vote. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Air travel is down by 57%. It's actually down by 100%. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. Electric car transition is big. Plant-based diets are up. Crime is down. CO2 emissions down by 50%. Holy cow. Energy efficiency is up by 46. GDP is up by 44. Education up. Productivity down. Oil price down. Don't care. Oil demand down. That's what I care about. Poverty down. Health up. Unemployment down. Lifespan up by 36%. Everyone is living 36% longer. That's incredible. Private healthcare up. Don't really care. Currency strength. Don't really care. Human development up. Oh, yes. We're going to experiment with the human development mechanic in a little bit, by the way. Remind me. Remind me. Remind me. It's a cool mechanic. I like it a lot. Either way, very, very happy with that. Post-election reshuffle. I'm not going to post-election reshuffle. I'm not going to do it. Unemployment continuing to fall. Streamer offers birthday song. A popular internet streamer is offering to sing for you in public. She's known for her tiny dresses and her adult-themed songs, making her very popular among young people. Sure, what the heck? Go for it. The youth flippin' love me. Excellent. Cyberbullying is going to be a thing. There's not much we can do about it, unfortunately. There is no way to counter it. Unfortunately, we still have a large amount of outstanding debt. However, our GDP is in a very, very, very good position, and I look forward to seeing our debt paid off, probably, hopefully, in the next episode of Democracy 4. Ladies and gents, it's been an absolute pleasure to play for you today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I certainly have enjoyed making it. Check out the Patreon if indeed you're interested in help making videos like this possible. Also, thanks to Banana and C-Senpai for being the two $25+ plus tier patrons. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I'll see you next time.